room 470 at Thames House. Once again, PT-16B, the SIS man who ran Tunworth, was there.
It was only when I met PT-16B, discussing other matters with him, that he mentioned this thing in a kind of note of triumph, saying that, yes, you know, we've done it. You know, we are the kind of intelligence service that people think we are almost, you know. My reaction was one of total shock. I mean, this was kind of really against what I thought I was doing in the intelligence services. And against what people have been telling me as well. I mean, against what I've been telling people. I mean, in my job in MI5, I knew quite a few journalists, because I used to be a journalist, and from time to time conversation would come up about the work of the intelligence services and so on. And I would say these stories are either rubbish or, you know, somebody's completely misunderstood what's going on. You know, and the intelligence services don't get up to the things that were reported in the 1980s. I mean, there's been some bizarre stories about them being involved in murdering Princess Diana's bodyguard and so on. And I was, you know, very determined to sort of tell these people this sort of thing didn't go on. But this was a kind of refutation of that. Suddenly it was like this sort of thing does go on. I was absolutely astounded when I heard that this was the case, because I say my thinking up and then about SIS is that they were involved in a kind of boys' own comic, and suddenly this was very real. Suddenly we're talking about tens of thousands of pounds of taxpayers' money being used to attempt to assassinate a foreign head of state.
So is that shocking claim about what went on at the key meeting here true? In the course of investigating Shayler's allegations, I have corroborated many of the key facts. There were indeed a series of meetings involving Shayler and the SIS officer PT-16B. Britain did have advanced knowledge of the attempt on Colonel Gaddafi's life, and British intelligence was using its Arab agent Tunworth as a cutout or go-between with Islamic militant groups in Libya. All of this begs the question, just exactly who knew what SIS was up to? SIS's foreign operations are governed both by law and Whitehall Convention. A sensitive foreign operation requires the intelligence agency to draw up a submission. This is sent across the Thames to the Foreign Office, where officials may alter it. It then goes to the desk either of a junior minister or the Foreign Secretary himself.
In this case, obviously, because you are giving money to a group to go and assassinate a foreign head of state, they'd actually said to me, you know, we're going to submit, but we think it's going to go all the way to the top.
And it did?
And it did, yes. I mean, that's what he was saying, yes. I mean, obviously not at the same time, but later on they said it had gone to the top and they got authority from the top.
But did they get authority from their political masters here at the Foreign Office? Well, two well-placed people have told me that the Tory ministers running this department at the time gave no such authorization. This leaves open several possibilities. That the SIS man, PT-16B, was lying at those crucial meetings, perhaps to try and impress his MI5 colleagues, or that an assassination operation went ahead without any kind of political approval. In short, that Britain's intelligence service was operating completely out of control. There are precedents for SIS using Arab assassination groups. In the 50s, they organized a group of Egyptians for an attempt to kill President Nasser. It wasn't authorized by ministers, it was discovered by Nasser, and after this scandal, the current procedures were put in place. More recently, there's considerable evidence that Britain cooperated with the CIA in attempts to overthrow Saddam Hussein. In this case, though, the plots were authorized by ministers. And what would have happened if the bomb against Gaddafi had been successful?
Our assessment was that if Gaddafi wasn't there, if Gaddafi, you know, died of a heart attack tomorrow, you know, somebody else could be in a position to turn around and hand over the two suspects for Lockerbie. So Gaddafi was obviously the main. Well, I mean, Gaddafi is Libya. I mean, it's, you know, not many people would rule a country like that that's relatively unstable for 25 years without being able to do it in a particularly, well, obviously a draconian way, but a kind of fairly efficient way as well.
For Shayler, there's little doubt that SIS masterminded the Gaddafi operation and that he's morally justified in revealing it.
Essentially, you're paying, in the region of what I can understand, £100,000 eventually, to carry out the murder of a foreign head of state. And that's quite apart from the fact this money is being used, obviously, because the attack went wrong, to kill innocent people. No matter who is funding international terrorism, they are still funding international terrorism, and it'd be. I mean, okay, the Brits might argue that might try and argue that we're the good guys, but it's a very difficult road to go down.
It is true, of course, that Shayler's knowledge of this affair depends entirely on what the SIS man PT-16B told him at their meetings. But certain pieces of this Libyan jigsaw cannot easily be argued away by SIS. There was an assassination attempt. Numerous Libyan sources confirm it. Britain did have a relationship with the agent Tunworth. Any inquiry into Shayler's allegations will be able to find the key CX report which detailed the plot against Gaddafi, so showing Tunworth's inside knowledge.
Obviously, it wasn't saying we have an agent here who's going to go and assassinate Gaddafi. What it was saying is there is an agent reporting that there is a group who have taken certain steps towards the assassination of Gaddafi. I mean, it did go. I mean, it was much longer than what the sort of stuff you normally got from SIS. I mean, normally a CX report would be a sheet of A4, 2 sheets of A4 at most, and this was 3 or 4 sides of A4.
Somewhere in Whitehall, then, there should be copies of that secret memo detailing SIS's advanced knowledge of the plot and proximity to it. As for MI5's copy, Shayler tells me he even remembers the file number. The government has announced that it's willing to see the Lockerbie suspects tried in Holland, the best hope of a breakthrough in this deadlock for years. What effect, I wondered, did David Shayler expect his revelations to have on this?
Are you not concerned that by talking about this, you will finish off any chance there ever was of those people being handed over?
Well, I mean, if having worked on the Lockerbie issue and seen all the intelligence and so on, I mean, I don't think there is any chance of the two being handed over. I think the British government would be far better off actually just publishing the entire evidence and saying this is what we have against the Libyan regime and being done with it.
For those who lost loved ones at Lockerbie, the timing of Shayler's revelations threatens to damage the new initiative to try the suspects. Do they blame him or the government for not closing a deal with him?
Quite honestly, it's the last thing we wanted this week, because this is a crucial week. It's now over 500 weeks since my daughter was murdered at Lockerbie, and this week the head of the Arab League is discussing a neutral country trial under Scottish law with Gaddafi in Tripoli. And the last thing we wanted is allegations that British organisations have been trying to kill him.
This week, the government has denied any suggestion that there was any authorised, and they've stressed the authorised, operation to kill Colonel Gaddafi. MI6 or SIS's defence against these serious allegations may well involve some sort of play with words. Their man, PT-16B, could well argue that he was just paying his Arab agent for information, the sort of routine intelligence work which does not require specific ministerial approval. So when the government says, as it has during recent days, that no authorization was given to a plot to kill Colonel Gaddafi, they may well be right. But only a thoroughgoing inquiry would stand a chance of getting to the bottom of whether some intelligence officers were playing fast and loose with the rules. David Shaylor has provided Panorama with other details about the Libyan operation and people connected with it. We haven't used them for security reasons. Combined with our own information, it suggests that SIS has a very serious case to answer. Only somebody empowered to delve into their most secret archives would stand a real chance of getting to the bottom of what exactly they thought they were buying when they handed over £100,000 to Agent Tunworth.
That programme replaced tonight's episode.
Galore in every colour from